So, wish I was here sooner. Hi YouTube, Shaka, aloha. Pretty upset today, and there's a lot of reasons why. I had watched a video with the police chief that was today. I saw it. I don't know if it was today or yesterday that the video came out. I think it was today, and I haven't seen a conference or anything anything in a while from anybody. None of us have actually seen, or at least I haven't, Mayor Bisson in a long time now. Haven't seen anything from, the government, Mayor Josh Green, and John, whatever his name is, the police chief, in a while. Kind of like they've been in hiding. Obviously, I've had this list of things that I wanted to get through. John Pelletier. And what I saw today with John Pelletier, in this meeting, they were talking all about, the forensics of, how many victims have died and everything else. They went from 115 down to 95. There's 35 here. There's this, that, whatever. They get their forensics guy. They get this new guy from, whatever, and, on and on and on. They always talk about September 11th and this guy's qualified because he's that or this, that, whatever. I'm just tired of it all. I'm tired of it all. It's so upsetting to me, and I just can't even fathom it. But the biggest upset to me today was, and just so you know, I've been working on, again, I'm not this, YouTube, all my YouTube videos, if any of you have subscribed to me since, and some of my videos are doing much better now with trying to get the word out, and that's what I'm continuing to try to do. But all my videos have always been about just helping people. Could be fixing their car, fixing their, refrigerator, fixing their furnace, helping them stay warm, things like that. And it's always been raw, just like this. So I'm not the greatest with, showing screenshots and my face and talking to you at the same time, but I'm working on it, and I kind of figured it out today. But I wanted to put this video out that's still raw without showing you this stuff, but I'm going to do that tomorrow because I've learned a lot today on how to do that. But I'm just so upset, and that's why I wanted to make this regular raw video before I show you what I am going to show you, the video that I watched of the police chief and these other people that got on there and so on and so forth. So I want to explain some of the things that I learned today. So for example, watching this video with this police chief, the thing that upset me, that I'm still so upset about, that I'm like enraged about, is that there was a question asked, and the police chief came up and he was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you asked this question because it's such an important question." And the question was like, when will you release the bodies and so on and so forth of, the victims, or are you going to hold them as evidence for, possible crime, whatever. And the doctor came up and he said a little something about it, whatever, and then the police chief had to make sure he said his piece. And what he said was, "Oh, no. We're not going to hold any of these people for evidence or anything, because This is a natural disaster. This is a natural disaster. So, because there's no criminal, implications or anything else, we have no reason to hold these bodies for evidence and so on and so forth. This is coming from a police chief, right, that failed in Nevada and failed in Maui. 100% failed. And he made orders to police officers to blockade people on Front Street and keep them running in circles on Front Street. Of course he doesn't want it to be investigated. Of course he wants to just call it a natural disaster. That's ridiculous to me. Of course he does. And who declared it a natural disaster is Josh Green, the governor, because the president didn't. And I researched the differences today with a natural disaster, or what are the terms? What do these things mean? And if any of you do what I did today and Google natural disaster, or I want you to Google, what did the president declare this as? Because he didn't declare it as a natural disaster. He declared it as a disaster, but I can't remember the exact term now. All my information's on my phone. And again, because I'm not great at all this technology stuff, whatever, but that's what I'm going to do tomorrow, is I'm going to show you these videos. You'll see my face there because I finally figured out how to do that. But all these videos, and I'm going to bring you to the websites and see everything that I saw today. The president did not declare Maui Fires a natural disaster. He declared it as a disaster zone. Disaster zone. Josh Green declared it a natural disaster. Why do you think he would? Because a month prior, or 3 to 1 month prior, he signed a declaration that if any natural disaster happens, he has carte blanche of the entire island. So of course he's going to claim it a natural disaster. He's been going to all these meetings of making this, of Maui, the beginning of this new, as I've said before, AI hub, or, natural resources place, and, getting rid of people driving in cars, whatever. They're going to take this transportation, that transportation, all based on frickin' the sun and all this other stuff. This is his agenda. His agenda. So hire this police chief to help with his agenda. The police chief, like I said, I just want to let everybody know we don't have to hold every... Great question, ma'am. We don't have to hold these bodies because this... And I'm doing this because that's what he did. I was so disgusted with his mannerisms and everything else. Because as a police chief, and anybody in, law enforcement, you would think that they would be looking for the truth. But he just wants to call it a natural disaster. Why? Because he's being paid to do that. And at the end of the day, if it's a natural disaster and everything else and so on and so forth, he doesn't want blame. He doesn't want fault. He doesn't want to try and prove that he blocked people on Front Street and killed people. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want anybody to research into what he did and his interactions in this whole thing. Of course he doesn't. Oh, that's such a great question. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want you all to know this is a natural disaster. Really? What makes it a natural disaster, sir? Where's your proof this is a natural disaster? Where's your proof, Mr. Policeman, Mr. Police Chief, that the investigation happened and you didn't kill people? Where's the proof of that? Where's the proof that this whole thing isn't a horseshit show, a land grab? Where's your proof? Where's the investigation? Because I remember it's September 11th that you like to bring up all the time. 343 firemen died. That was a number. And over 2,000 other people died. But you guys can't get your facts straight because you bring this guy in with a white coat like, oh, well, you know, we got these bones here and they came in with a A or a different letter, but we got other people collecting bones and they came in with this and whatever. And what you're trying to do is make this less than 100. Less than the worst fires that ever existed in this country. Why? Because that makes it less. Why do I know that? Because I'm a fireman. Because I went to school. Because I've been doing this for 30 years. And because I've researched and been taught classes of all the horrific fires in the world. For example, MGM Grand in the 70s, right? How many people died? Over 100 and so on and so forth. Investigations happened. What caused the fire? So on and so forth, all this stuff. But what's happening in Maui? You got people sifting through people's homes, you know, all this other stuff. You want to drop chemicals on everything, so on and so forth. Where is the investigation? Prior to all this horseshit, people would want to know what happened. What went wrong? Who's responsible for this? Period. But no, all you're concerned with is like, oh, we're doing the best we can. We hired the best people to do this job because they worked on September 11th. Or this guy that works for the government, he helps POWs and, we help figure out how many of them actually are there. It's all horse shit, dog and pony shows. You can't even come out with a friggin' real number. That you're constantly bringing up September 11th, right? Why? Because that's what somebody's taught you to do. You're the worst police officer in the entire history of police officers. And I can't wait till you lose your job. I can't wait till you do. Because you are a disgrace, sir, to the entire profession. So many police officers in my profession that I've met that do the job right. And guess what? I met plenty of people just like you that sucked at the job, that did a horrible job. And how do I know that? Because I witnessed it. So there are bad apples in bunches. We all know that. And you, sir, are the biggest bad apple of them all. You're hiding. That statement you made today, this is a natural disaster. You're being bought and paid for to say that. And that's disgusting to me. How could you say that before an actual investigation was done? And an actual investigation figured out what you did wrong. What you did, sir, was kill people, period. That's what you did. I'm looking right at you if you ever see this video. You killed people, and you did it for your salary. Good for you, sir. But don't sit there and think that we're not dumb, that we're not blind, that we can't see right through it. It's unfortunate that I have a little tiny YouTube channel, and eventually, maybe more people will get to see it. But your little horse and pony show, it's over. Eventually the truth will come out. So you can sit there and say it's a natural disaster because that's what Josh Green wants you to say, so that he can have carte blanche for the whole entire island of Maui. And yes, I am trying to stop myself from swearing because I'm disgusted with you, sir. Disgusted. I hope when you lose your job, you never get another one. And you regret this for the rest of your life. John Pelletier. The worst investment in taxpayer money that ever happened. From the second you became a police officer. So tomorrow I will have, because finally I've learned how to do this sort of thing, I'll be showing you exactly what I researched myself today. You know, I have to save pages. What I've done the research for is how to show you my computer screen and also have my face there and be able to hear me and the whole thing. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I had to, do the research, and it's difficult and it takes time because I'm a fireman, I'm a fire investigator. I'm a hazmat tech. I'm a dive rescue person. I've done more in my life to save and rescue and help people than John Pelletier has ever done in his life. I guarantee you that. And that's my goal here, is just to help people continue. Again, I'm retired now. What are you going to do to me, John Pelletier? What are you going to do to me, Mr. Josh Green? Nothing. Zero. And I'm doing what I've always done, trying to help. And this entire scenario is disgusting to me. So I'll be also, after exposing Mr. Pelletier here, also exposing Mr. Josh Green in a video that I watched him give, and so on and so forth. And when he was asked the question about, whether he would be willing to, get rid of the proclamation that he signed for himself, he said immediately, no. Because it's all about the low-income people and everything else, and helping with the redevelopment and, just helping people with homes and so on and so forth that couldn't afford them. It's all horse shit. It gives him carte blanche of the island to do what he wants with. He also, and I'm going to have that there, Josh Green wants everybody, he knows there's going to be lawsuits. He already knows it. And they've already hired attorneys to deal with it and all that stuff. So what they want are the people that are still alive. And here's one other thing I want to say before I finish that. So with all this DNA, with all these people that aren't, accounted for, what does MPD, Maui Police Department, want? They want people to file police reports to show whether or not these people are alive or not, or who they are, or who's missing, and so on and so forth. How are they going to do that if they're dead? So you have a list of people that are unaccounted for, 30-something, as you say. And if they don't come forward to pronounce they're dead or people missing, what's going to happen? You're going to go from 95 now, which it was 115, to even less, right? But you don't sit there and say, and I didn't hear one person ask the question, how are they going to fill out the report, sir, if the family is dead? How? Who's going to fill the report? Well, you know that. You know that. That's why you blocked all these people into this area in the first place. But nobody's asking the right questions at all. And the entire conversation that you had of trying to be transparent, and you said it like 3 or 4 times in your meeting, we're trying to have full transparency with you guys, whatever. There's this number, that number, then that number, then this number, and then this, and then that. I was so confused, I just wanted to reach through the screen and punch you square in the face. I swear to God. Because all you're doing is confusing people. You could just say, there's this many people dead, period. That's what we know. And then this many people unaccounted for. That's it. Period. You don't have to get into the forensics of, oh, well, this bag of bones is this and this is. How many kids are dead? Where are they? Why are the buses missing? Why can a person look on Google Maps and see, Jesus, there was 16 buses here? Now there's only 3. Where are those buses now? They're not in the roads, right? Burned to a crisp. School was let out, this, that, whatever. The math doesn't work. Where are all these children? You don't get into that. These are the bodies we have. This is what we have. You just keep dwindling the number down under 100. Under 100. That's the number. 100. Why? Because most of the fatal fires in this country were 100 plus. That's it. So you want this fire to be less than that. The most recent fire, Mr. Big Shot, making more money than you're worth, I bet you don't even know where that was unless somebody told you. The Rhode Island nightclub fire. Over 100 people died. That's an R error. Not the MGM Grand or all these other fires that I know of that you don't. But the Rhode Island nightclub fire. And you have no idea what it's like to be a fireman. You have no idea what it's like to deal with these people as they're dying, burning alive. Why? Because where were you? Where were you? Who knows where you were? But we know what you were doing. And here's what, sir. All those recordings of any message that you made, it should and will, hopefully, with attorneys, be available. So they'll know exactly the order that you gave. And I bet you're in fear of that, unless you already know they're going to erase them, lose them somehow, say that it didn't come through, or whatever. But I also have video from the fire chief, and I also know because I was a fireman. And I also know that you share dispatch. So all that information that the fire chief said was coming through should be available. So what does that mean? Your horseshit plan of just using natural disaster, it won't add up. And eventually it's going to come back to you. I'm not saying you're responsible for the fire. I'm saying you're responsible for killing people, period. Because if I was in your shoes, sir, and I'm not, and I never would be, because I'm not anything like you, I'm a real human being that cares about people, not money, I would resign. And I would do just like the emergency manager did, disappear, if I was you. But you won't, because you're arrogant, and you think that you're above the law. And people that work for you realize that. And people that retired early realize that. And in my opinion, sir, you are the biggest scumbag on earth. And I personally can't wait until you're held accountable for this. So the longer you stay in charge, the sooner that will happen. And I'll be happy. And everybody else will. So I'll end the video right there. Like I said, part of the reason that I haven't been doing videos, I've been doing research on how to tie videos in with things that I'm researching so you guys can see it. So I'm not just saying it and whatever. But I figured it out, and tomorrow what I'm going to do is start to tie this stuff in so you can read it yourselves. I'll be there, you'll see me, and we'll talk through it, or I'll be talking, and then you'll be able to read it, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going away. They may shadow ban me, all this stuff, but I'm not going away. Maui matters too much to me. As you've seen, I've added more. Tomorrow you'll see the upstairs area. This is when I was in Maui. I got married. I got this tattoo right on Front Street, and Maui means a lot to me. All the people there were wonderful to me. Tomorrow when I'm doing some videos, I have some stuff upstairs that I placed in order you know, for example, you're not supposed to take anything from Maui, so on and so forth. Even the sand, anything. Don't take anything from Maui, because I don't remember her name, and I apologize for that, but, you know, bad things will happen. And my wife and I fully believed in it once we got married at Secret Beach or McKenna Cove, and we were just in the sand. Well, right there, you can see we're in the sand. Waves are coming on us, the whole thing, and we went back to the place that we were renting, and there was sand all over us. So we got in the shower, and all the stuff that we washed off of us, we wanted to bag up and bring home, just because it was just the sand off of us. And we got deathly sick. Both of us did. And this is a true story. So I had read all this stuff about, you know, don't take stuff, you know, whatever. I got this book called Maui Revealed before we got there, and, you know, I read it all the way through. It took us 35 hours to get to Maui, and loved everything about it. And that book, if nobody knows about it, you ever want to go to Maui, that's the book you should read, so on and so forth. But long story short, we bagged the sand and we were going to bring it home. We had it like drying out on we had a little deck that was, look over, there's the ocean. It was beautiful. And because of the book that I read and whatever, I said, Najla, sorry, I didn't mean to mention her name, but that's my wife's name. And I was like, we have to get rid of this. So I went down and I put it in the sand right below where we were staying. I watched the water wash away. I went back upstairs. I'm not lying. This is a true story. Within 30 minutes, we were both totally fine. I'm telling you. And then research that I did when I got home, like, so many people have had the same things happen. Like, it's just a thing over Maui. You can't take anything away that's from the island. And so on and so forth. And it's not like we were trying to take things, we just were taking the sand off of our clothes from, you know, the water washing over us and the pictures that were being taken, so on and so forth. We were totally fine. We were there for 3 weeks. This was day 3. Every day after that was beautiful. Maui to us is beautiful. And what happened there, to me, is a travesty. So all the people there were wonderful. The things that I put upstairs, one of them is from a koa tree, a tiki made. This is a tiki that I had made when I got home. Just love Maui, love Hawaii, always loved it my entire life. This to me is a travesty. Long story short, these people need to pay, and we cannot allow them to run over Maui just because it's an island and they feel like they can. And unless people like me or Eric West or Hustle Bitch or all the other people I've seen on YouTube continue to make waves, if you will, they win. And we can't let them win. We have to continue to go against them and force them to look at the Constitution and the laws, and the police chief's breaking them already. Like, to come out and say this is a natural disaster, knowing full well what he did by blocking. Point of that is, people died on Front Street because of his decision, period. The power was out. I already described in my other videos how he could have known that or not, or whatever. He didn't handle it right. Those people died. This is not a natural disaster anymore. There is criminal situations, but he, being the police chief, that he knows that he made those decisions, he wants that to go away. So having it be a natural disaster is perfect for him. It's also perfect for Josh Green, the governor. That's what he has always wanted. That's why he signed this thing 3 months or whatever it was, a month prior to this incident. He already knew what he wanted. This guy was going to meetings and dealing with all these people, even in other countries, trying to make Maui the beginning of this hub. And he got his way. How that happened? We're going to come to the bottom of it. We're going to get to the conclusion. We will, as long as we stick together, keep watching these videos, keep sharing them, watch other videos, keep communicating. There needs to be attorneys dealing with this and so on and so forth. The media is not covering this. CNN, NBC, CBS, none of them give a shit about what's going on here. Nobody seems to care. I don't see it on the news ever. You know? Ever. It's like it didn't even exist. It's gone. And they knew that would happen. As this whole thing's being planned, they knew. Hold out. Do this, do that. Ridiculous. The blocks that they're putting on people to know information. They're arresting people from being miles away from ground zero, if you will, or Front Street, just to stop on the side of the road and just look, take some pictures. They're arresting people for that. Why? That's against the Constitution. How can you arrest people for just trying to see or take pictures of this horrible scene that happened? What bad is that? Well, it's not bad for everybody that wants to know what's going on. What it's bad for are the people that are trying to hide what they're doing. So they're using the government to prevent it, deter it. If you don't want to get arrested, you won't stop on the side of the road. But if you want to try and take some pictures and you want to deal with the First Amendment or the Constitution and you stop and you do, you're going to jail. Why? Why would you go to jail? Especially, let's say you lived there and one of those houses are yours. You're going to go to jail anyway. And the people sending you to jail don't even live there. They hired a bunch of people to come to Maui that have brown skin or this, that, whatever, as I've already said in my other videos, that look like local people or this, that, whatever, to keep people calm. But they're not from there at all. And they'll arrest you and you'll go to jail. It's ridiculous to me. And if that doesn't make you wonder and question, and you put up the black screens and everything that they've been doing, you take away all of that, take away everything, take away John Pelletier, everything he did, the entire thing. Okay, just take away all of it for a second, and just add this person, Josh Green, files this declaration that if any natural disaster happens, I have the right to do whatever I want. Let's just say that that's it. Then this fire happens shortly thereafter. Just those two things don't make sense. John Pelletier loves bringing up September 11th. Well, just like September 11th, the guy that bought the buildings, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, he bought them. And he knew that they were in need of repair, all this stuff, asbestos throughout, all this stuff, the World Trade Centers. But he bought them anyway, for however much he paid. And then he put a provision in there that if any terrorist incident ever happened, he would be insured. I don't remember the timeline, but we're talking weeks, maybe a month after the World Trade Centers were hit by two jets that were meant to believe were terrorist attacks. Whether they were terrorist attacks or not, What are the odds that a person would buy these buildings and then put this there and then poof, it happens? In the real world, and this is perspective here, if I, 3 months ago, opened up a large life insurance policy on my wife, and then 3 months later, she died, what do you think happens? They investigate the heck out of me. Why would you do that? Seems suspicious, like you literally just increased your, benefit if your wife died and then she died. How'd she die? This, that, whatever. But it's funny that works like that for a private citizen, right? Like if you did that and maybe you're a murderer or whatever, and maybe you had her killed and whatever. But for a situation like the World Trade Center where thousands of people died, it doesn't raise an eyebrow? Or in a situation like Maui, when a governor does that, it doesn't raise an eyebrow? Why? Because they're the government doing it. But with us, it raises all eyebrows, and an investigation ensues, and you won't have a police chief named John Pelletier say, "This is a natural disaster. I'm glad you asked that question, but this, I just want everybody to be clear, we can release all these bodies because this is a natural disaster." You won't have that. What you'll have are the police up your butt investigating every single thing about you, because why did you just change the policy? Because now it seems like it's just benefiting you, not your wife that's dead. Who knows how it happened yet? And they fully investigate that. But this police chief just wants it to just disappear. So his actions, the governor's actions, all this stuff, it just goes away. Because, it was a natural disaster. The wind just happened to be blowing the right way. The sirens were not blown off so the people would know. Nobody had any notice. Everybody knew that the hurricane was coming. The winds were bad at times, and then they weren't, or whatever. So on and so forth. I've done my research. This could have been prevented 100%. 100%. And it wasn't. And we'll get to the bottom of it. And I hope that the world gets to hear the things that I say. And that eventually the people that are responsible for this have to pay, and that this won't continue to happen. That that people in power won't think that they're so in power that the people won't be able to win and hold them accountable. That's what this is about for me. It's not about my YouTube channel or any of this other stuff. It's about helping the people get what they deserve and be able to lay their dead to rest and not lose their property and everything else to a bunch of people that are trying to take it from them, and a bunch of criminals. And Mr. John Pelletier, Mr. Josh Green, you think you're above the law, but you're not. And you're going to find that out soon. So that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching if you watched this far. Look forward to watching my next video where I finally learned how to add stuff that I've researched to me, and we'll go from there. So mahalo, shaka, aloha. Thank you for watching. Thank you, YouTube.